Hi, everybody, and welcome to the podcast. I'm Nick Giulioni, a California transplant turned Hoosier in 2020.
And I'm Brooks Rothschild. I am a Maryland transplant turned Hoosier in 2018. We're indie investors with hundreds of properties under our belt of experience here in Indy. We're just hoping to add some value to you guys, especially out-of-state guys who don't really have boots on the ground here in Indianapolis and beyond.
Absolutely. For the first couple of episodes here, we're going to talk a little bit about our backgrounds so that you guys can get to know the hosts, get to know what we do. Today, I'll actually be interviewing Brooks. And so, Brooks, why don't you tell us a little bit about your background? How the heck did you end up here in Indy? Give us the dish here.
Sure. Kind of a funny story. We still joke about to this day. When I first told some of my friends I'm from Baltimore, Annapolis area in Maryland. When I told them I was moving to Indiana, they said, "Where? Isn't there just cornfields there?" And even the best man at my wedding during his best man speech even said, "I don't even know if when he moved here, I didn't even know there was color here. I thought it was just all in black and white." So moved here in 2018. Before that, I was a police officer in Baltimore County. During that time, that's where I started my real estate investing journey. Was then during my police career, because I started to realize that everybody in this job around me is just so negative, and everyone's counting down the days to retirement. Everyone literally has an app on their phone that has the countdown all the way down to the seconds and minutes of when their retirement is, when they can collect their pension.
Wow.
So it's just a lot of negativity around it. It's kind of just not an environment you want to be around every day. Just really kind of soul sucking, to be honest with you. So during that time, me and another one of my partners there, who was an entrepreneur as well on the side, started getting really heavily interested into real estate and doing a bunch of research. I think we took the route that everybody else took. We all started tuning into Bigger Pockets as much as we could and just devouring that material in between calls, at home, during workouts. Started reading books, Rich Dad Poor Dad. I'm sure everybody has read that.
And if you haven't,
you should. Just trying to gain as much knowledge as we could, because it's scary to jump into real estate. It's a lot of money that you're putting on the line. So once we felt a little bit more comfortable, we started investing or doing some flips in Maryland. Not so much in Baltimore City, kind of the surrounding counties. Had a couple rentals. Most of what I wanted to do with rentals was rent out to the military community. My hometown is not too far from Fort Meade. It's about 40 minutes or so, but I was in an area where a lot of them tend to, when they move here, buy a house and have a family. So that was kind of me trying to get back to the military as well. And back into the police work side of things, I met my wife on vacation with that same partner from the police department in Florida, and we kind of kept in touch for a little bit, and she's from Indiana, so you know where this is going. She won the battle. I ended up moving out here. I applied to a couple police departments out here, but knowing that it's just not something I wanted to do, and to be honest with you, I didn't want to be offered the job, to be honest, because I didn't want to have to make that decision whether I was going to come do the same thing that I was doing out there, or figure out a new path. Luckily, I was offered a job by one of my wife's friends' husbands, who we became very close and talked a lot of business. He owns a few companies as well out here. So he had made me a job offer, and I jumped on the opportunity. Jumped on the opportunity to get out of police work, jumped on the opportunity. It gave me a reason to, we didn't have to do long distance anymore, which was awesome. And yeah, it kind of changed everything in my life, to be honest with you. And I still remember to this day when I put in my notice with the police department, My supervisors, colleagues, everybody thought I was nuts, right? Because everyone's like, oh, this is a solid job. We get great benefits, great retirement, stuff like that. To be honest with you, it's kind of a brainwash. You don't need to, I mean, yeah, the benefits are great, but I mean, if you make a little bit more money, that covers those benefits, guys. I mean, if you're listening from the police department, you can change. I have so many people reach out and say like, well, I'm this far in, I can't go anywhere else. You can.
Yeah. Well, I think what's really interesting there that you're calling out is really that employee mindset, getting back to the Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Yep.
It's been a little while since I've read that book, but when you're in that employee mindset, you're beholden to somebody else. You're beholden to the app that tells you exactly when you get to retire. So I think you're thinking all the right things. You got to move out here to Indiana. You got a job that was, I believe, in sales. Is that right?
Yep. So, well, kind of sales. I did a little bit of everything. So I came here and worked for him, directly for him. He was the CEO of a bigger COO of a bigger company. So I just did project management under him. Did that for probably about 6 months, and me and him just hit it off even further. We did a couple investments on our own on the side as well. Not in real estate, but in other businesses and stuff like that. So we ended up buying another business, which I helped get that up and running, and while he was still doing his COO duties on the side. So I kind of took over that leadership role in that company until I kind of sat on the sidelines here in Indy until I learned the area, because I didn't really know downtown Indianapolis when I got here that well, which pockets are good. And it's not really even a pocket city. It's kind of a street-by-street city. So once I felt a little bit more comfortable, went to some meetups, talked with Nick. He had been doing it here since 2016. You just start to feel a little bit more comfortable and confident. And really, you just need to jump in to get your feet wet to know what's going on around here.
Yeah.
So, yep, once I started doing well on real estate on the side, as well as working for him, we were expecting a little one. So it was kind of a perfect storm of events where I kind of said, I don't want to work 6 days a week or 5 days a week and have to be at the office to do the job. I figured out that I was making probably about the same as doing real estate on the side, maybe 10 hours a week, as I was working 40 to 50 hours a week and running that company. But it just made more sense. I could be home with my kid. I don't want to be like my dad, who his ultimate preach to me was like, don't work yourself to death and not be there for your kids first. I want to make sure I was going to be there for that.
That's awesome. So there are a couple things I heard here that I think a lot of people can take away. Most of the people listening to this are going to be people who probably still are in the W-2 world. When you were a police officer in Maryland, you were using kind of that time to get to know the area better, to figure out your investments. When you got here to Indiana, you didn't know Indiana. You didn't know Indianapolis and all the different regions of Indianapolis. So you used that time when you're W-2 to work on the side, to have that side hustle that ended up converting into your primary hustle. And then, it was about a little over a year ago that you made that transition to full-time. The other kind of cool thing that I want to call out here, and you can talk a little bit about your investments, I definitely want to hear that, is you weren't necessarily and aren't necessarily financially free today. Like, you couldn't stop working and expect to maintain your current quality of life, but you were able to use that time as a W-2 employee to get the expertise you needed to get the book of business, so that you were able to convert and make that your full-time job with a little bit more flexibility in your life. So let's talk about that next chapter.
Yeah. When I jumped in, rentals were always the mindset, because we wanted that passive income, like you said. I think that's everyone's goal, and something that everybody should build towards. But obviously, making a couple $100 per house in cash flow every month isn't gonna fill that void, or fill what you need every month to what you need to bring home.
Or you need a lot of them.
Or you need a lot of them. Yep. So I mean, for example, I've built my portfolio to closer to 35 doors now, and I still wouldn't feel comfortable in not working anymore. I'm still doing a little bit of everything on the side, so I still do a couple flips. I do something called wholetailing. If you're not familiar with it, we'll go into that a little bit more in depth. I kind of became a impromptu wholesaler a little bit as well, not meaning to. I just wanted to kind of bypass the wholesalers in the area and get my own leads coming in so I could capitalize on those. And in doing so, I had more leads coming in than I could really capital-wise take care of. So I started sending them out to other people and say, hey, are you guys interested in these?
So we kind of understand the strategies you're taking, and breaking it down into a couple buckets. You're obviously building your portfolio.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a really smart approach to build that passive income over time. We'll talk a little bit more here over the coming weeks about all the different ways you make money on real estate. The best is to own rentals, in my personal opinion. So we've got that one. You've got the agent business that you're doing, the wholetailing, the wholesaling. Did I generally sum it up there pretty well?
Yep, and I guess I didn't even mention that the agent side of it. So I do have my real estate license here. Obviously not something that you need to invest in real estate, but that's just another avenue where you can make money in real estate, as you said. So.
Well, make money and potentially save money. We can talk a little bit about kind of the advantages of being an agent again in the future. All right, so obviously lots of shifting in location, lots of shifting in mindset. Like what shifted in your mind as you were going through the transition kind of from that W-2 life to the business owner life that you're living in today?
Yeah, I think that mindset shift started while I was on the police department, right? So when I was starting to get interested in real estate, and I don't even think it was like the wealth or the passive income. I think it was just a way we all saw, like, there's a good way to make some money here on the side. And then you start reading these books like we talked about earlier, and then you're like, oh, well, I mean, I guess what do they call them, the handcuffs that they put you in for your W-2. You're like, why am I doing this? I'm just trading my time for money, and it's not that much money in the police department, as we all know. So it's just like, okay, there's got to be a different way. Yeah. So that mindset shift started there, and then moving out here and seeing how the real estate market works and how you can make this money work for you instead of you putting all your time into just getting paid hourly or whatever it is, salary. Yeah. You can just make your money work for you a lot easier and put a lot less hours, spend a lot more time with your family, which is my ultimate goal, is to be able to, I don't want to miss, like, my son's, for example, tomorrow my son starts daycare, first day of daycare. If I'm working a 9-to-5 job, I'm not going to be able to go to that tomorrow. So I don't want to miss any first time things for my son. That was kind of my whole goal when I went into this full time as a real estate investor, even after I left my W-2 job here that was pretty flexible if I really wanted it to be, but that was the mindset shift, is to be able to be there for my son when we found out.
Given your background here, a lot of people might assume that you have to live near your investments in order to be successful. Mm-hmm. Obviously, you were investing in Maryland. You were investing in Indiana once you moved out here. Do you think that's a requirement for most people to be successful?
Not at all. I still consider and do invest in Maryland when a good opportunity comes, because I know the area and I do have a good network there now. Yeah. Which, playing off of that, if you are going to do this from out of state or further away, no, you don't have to be from there, but you better have a good team in place, or at least have some good connections there that you trust to look out for you.
I'd make the argument that even if you live right next door to your investments, you probably need that. In the grand scheme of things, I've touched now 200 plus doors. Man, when something goes wrong in my house, I call somebody. I don't know what the heck I'm doing. I would never install a toilet. So, building that team, I think, is important regardless. The team might look a little different if you're local, but I wholeheartedly agree with you that it's possible. And we'll talk a little bit about that again in the future. What's been the biggest mistake you've made so far, man?
Biggest mistake is not buying more and jumping into this sooner, I would say. I still look back and say what an idiot I was for not jumping into this a lot sooner than I did. Besides that, I mean, there's always mistakes. You're going to make mistakes on every single project that you're on. It's going to happen. So, I mean, just take that as an education and move on. I mean, if you lose money on it, then you basically paid for an education at that point, right? We pay for an education when we go to school, to college or something like that, or community college or whatever you want to call it. Or, but I mean, if you make a mistake on a project, you just paid for a class. You just learned what not to do now.
Yeah. It's a whole lot cheaper than most college education at this point. So, it depends on how big the mistake is, I guess.
Yes.
I think you hit on one of the biggest things, I would say. The other one is just not leaning into a community. There's a community of investors anywhere you're thinking about. Don't be a lone wolf in this situation. What's really been interesting is Brooks and I really should not like each other. If you're in the competitive mindset, the two of us should be enemies because we're competing for the same deals.
In the same market.
Yeah, we're in the same market. We're competing for the same deals. That's not how we view it, and that's not how we see it, at least in Indianapolis. I'm sure you can probably say the same about Maryland. That's not how people tend to view it. People like to share resources. They like to learn from one another, and you might get upset if Brooks gets the deal instead of me. Like that might frustrate me, but in the grand scheme of things, I'd say we're stronger together by kind of learning from each other. All right, so what are your long-term goals? Obviously, we talked a little bit about being present for your family. What goals do you have here over the next couple of years that you'd like to get accomplished?
I would say my biggest goal here in the next couple of years is to have my wife go down to part-time. Just that gives her a little bit more freedom and flexibility to do some stuff that she wants to do, some of her passion projects. So that would be number one. Number two, I just want to keep expanding on what I have as far as my rental portfolio. I know once this comes out, this will already be announced, but we had a huge day for our company the other day where we're bringing on a partner, a very well-known investor here in the Indianapolis market. So that's just going to hopefully take our business to the moon after that. So keep building that side of the business.
Yeah. I'm ridiculously excited for that hire too.
I'm very excited.
Yeah.
You guys will know about this when it comes out, but Randy Placencia will be partnering with us. He's he was the director of sales of one of the bigger firms here in town, bringing him on as a partner in our business, and he should explode our business at this point.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so what haven't we talked about here in your background that you think might be interesting to the audience?
Let's see. If you're listening from Maryland, Nick, I've told Nick this a couple times as we've been sharing some bourbon. In Maryland, if somebody asks you where you went to school, you don't say your college, you say your high school. So if you're listening, one of my friends from Maryland, I went to Calvert Hall in Towson, Maryland. After that, I played college baseball for a little while at Millersville University. And then, after that, you kind of heard everything after that. So
that's awesome. Well, Brooks, thanks for sharing. Appreciate it. On the next episode, I'm going to try to follow that up and give a little bit of my background. But before we go, Brooks, how can people get in touch with you if they want to chat with you?
Yeah, reach out to me at brooks@brofindy.com. You can reach out there or follow me on Instagram at just my first and last name, Brooks Rothschild, or our company, Rothschild Investments. Either one of those would be great. You can DM me. I'm pretty responsive on there.
Gotcha. All right. And for anyone looking for a real estate community or to answer any of their questions or for any type of construction help here in Indianapolis, you can reach out to me at nick@offleashinvestments.com. I have an Instagram. We post up a lot of stuff there. I'm not the most responsive on there, but definitely go and give us a follow at Off Leash Investments. And thank you guys for listening. Appreciate it. And we will catch you on the next one.